Happy Holy Hump Day on this September 28th, everyone. I'm Pastor Robert. Welcome to this midweek time where I can share some spiritual thoughts and reflections with you. I'm here in our sanctuary because this week's focus is on churchy words. We have a church word for just about everything, and so I want to share with you several of our churchy words that you might be familiar with or you might be interested in knowing, so that when you hear these words, you know to what we are referring. So let me give you a list of several churchy words. So the first churchy word is the pulpit. And the pulpit is where whoever is preaching stands. The lectern, which is on the opposite side, is where the worship leader reads the scriptures and maybe some prayers and things such as that. Then we have the churchy word sacristy, which really means a closet. And for us, that sacristy, that closet, is located in our chapel area. It's in the back of the chapel area. There's a room, and that is where we store the altar cloths for each season of the church year. We also keep our candelabras in there that we often use for weddings. So a lot of items that get used for worship is what's in the sacristy or that closet. Another churchy word is the narthex. And the narthex refers to our front entrance, which for us is that glass entrance where people come in. We have a refreshment time in there. It's a gathering space before you walk into the sanctuary. So that is another churchy word. And then we have the churchy word chancel, and that is a name that refers to basically the stage area. If we use common language, the stage area where it's up front, where maybe the preacher, the worship reader, the baptismal font and the altar, all of those are placed. So that's really the front of the church. And then we also have the churchy word known as the liturgist. Liturgist simply refers to the worship reader and the person that is assisting the person who is preaching in the worship service. And then we have the churchy word baptismal font, and that basically refers to the water bowl stand, and it's where we gather around when we have baptisms. And then we have the churchy word pew, and the pew really is, in a general terminology, a bench, and we have several of those, so those are called pews. And then we have, this is really interesting, we have what's called the sanctuary or the chapel, and that would be the entire worship space. And that's what we refer to as the sanctuary and the chapel. And then we have the churchy word known as the nave. And the nave is really where the people are seated for the worship service. So it would be out where the pews are. So I want us to focus on that one churchy word, nave. The word nave actually comes from the Latin word navis, and that comes from the word that we get the word ship. So we are to be thinking of ourselves as a ship, this area where we are seated for worship. We are a ship, and I think there's a lot of powerful imagery there because, first of all, a ship, it takes a team of people, a team of sailors to be able to navigate through the seas. So it's a teamwork kind of image where we're maybe all rowing together, all working together on that ship. So that's a powerful image. But then I also think that another powerful image is that a boat is what guides you through the storms of life. And I particularly think of the Noah and the Ark story, how God had Noah build this ark, and that ark is what saved his family from the flood. And then I also think about how Jesus calmed storms. And I want to read this from Mark chapter 4, beginning at verse 35. And this is one of those stories. On that day, when evening had come, Jesus said to them, "Let us go across to the other side." And leaving the crowd behind, they took him with them in the boat, just as he was. Other boats were with him. A great windstorm arose, and the waves beat into the boat, so that the boat was already being swamped. But he was in the stern, asleep on the cushion. And they woke him up and said to him, "Teacher, do you not care that we are perishing?" he woke up and rebuked the wind and said to the sea, "Peace, be still." Then the wind ceased, and there was a dead calm. He said to them, "Why are you afraid? Have you still no faith?" And they were filled with great awe and said to one another, "Who then is this, that even the wind and the sea obey him?" And so that imagery of that space where we are seated, reminding us that we are in this ship together, where God is guiding us through the storms of life and offering us peace in the midst of the storm. That's such a powerful image. And I love how we have a phrase here that we want our church to be a haven of blessing and peace. And that also reminds me of that image. So I do invite you to join us to our nave this Sunday for worship. We're going to be continuing our Dear Timothy series, and we're going to be focusing on Paul's words to Timothy to rekindle your faith. And that's going to be a great message this Sunday, a great worship theme, rekindle your faith. And so may God bless you on this Holy Hump Day, and know that God is guiding us through our storms, reminding us that we are all rowing together as part of God's family, as part of God's people.